Oh, hello. Do you like to live dangerously? Me too. So today we're talking about Dangerous from 2021, starring Scott Eastwood, uh, Mel Gibson's in it, all sorts of people. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love this. And just a quick note from our friends over at Blackout Coffee Company, make sure you head over and give them a try. Links in the description. Happy hump day. That's right. Middle of the work week, and I'm so excited because that means we're just a short couple of days from the weekend. And don't you know, we all love the weekend, right? How's everybody's week going? Hope you're doing good. Uh, man, this week just seems to be flying by. If you're anything like me, you have not heard of this movie. I had never heard of it, but I'm kind of happy I watched it. We got to talk about it. It's different. Let's take a look, shall we? Dangerous 2021, rated R, hour and 39 minutes. An action thriller. A reformed sociopath journeys to a remote island to investigate the mystery behind his brother's demise, but soon ends up facing off with more than he bargained for. Directed by David Hackle, written by Christopher Borelli, starring Scott Eastwood, Kevin Durand, Famke Janssen. I never know how to say her name. I just know she was in X-Men, the original one. And Mel Gibson. Yeah, sorry. Lost my train of thought there, thinking about X-Men. So, excuse me. So this is a very unique movie. It's a bit choppy, but really a really fun watch if you can stay awake for some of it. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's see. All right, you start out introduced to Scott Eastwood's character, and he's got a ankle monitor on, and he's on parole or probation. I don't remember. Anyway, and he's a bit weird. Seems a bit off, but he keeps getting these letters every day in the mail, or every so often in the mail, from his brother, who lives on an island that he bought. The brother bought, not. Anyway. Scott Eastwood's name is D in this, and he keeps getting these letters. Him and his brother seem to be really close, but you find out relatively quickly that this guy spent several years in prison for murder. But you don't know the context, right? Side note, you'll have to forgive me for my throat. I've got a bit of a sore throat, not feeling real 100%. My apologies. So there may be some frogs today. Sorry. So anyway, and in one of the letters, he gets an apology on the letter saying that his brother has passed away and when the funeral is. No more information. Just that. Hey, by the way, I know you love this guy, but he's dead. Just thought you should know, right? So, at this point, when he gets back up to his apartment from checking the mail, there's some weird guy in his apartment. And then you move to something else. Well, it turns out that the FBI are looking for D. And when they get to his apartment, they find the guy that was in his apartment tied up in the shower and beat up. He's not dead, but he's in a coma. And all beat up. The ankle monitor's there, but D is not there. Excuse me. So the FBI has decided, you know what? He's skipped parole or whatever. We got to find him because he obviously tried to kill this random fella. This was the only crappy part about this movie was the FBI side. Right? Because they're absolutely no investigative powers at all. They're just like, Oh, look, he just picked some random fella off the street, brought him home. This thug looking fella, brought him home, beat the heck out of him, and tied him up in the shower and then ran away. He must be back to his old tricks again as a killer. Made absolutely no sense, but we'll go with it. So the FBI is hunting him down. They find a pill bottle in his house with a doctor's name on it. So FBI super lady, Miss Jansen, goes to talk to the doctor, who is Mel Gibson plays, and he's quite the alcoholic, but he's helping D work through his psychotic or sociopathic behavior. And evidently, D used to be a Navy SEAL, and then he started working as a mercenary. And his favorite thing is killing people. He's just really good at it because he doesn't have the emotional. He has no emotions that make him understand how the world works. And maybe you shouldn't enjoy killing those people. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are at it. Maybe just hold on a minute. All right? So Mel Gibson tells the FBI, hey, I don't know where he's at, but he's not killing people because, well, I've been working with him, and he's a changed person from who he was back then. As long as he stays on his medication, everything's fine. And from this point forward, anytime you see the doctor, Mel Gibson, which you see him numerous times because D calls him frequently to discuss things with him, his emotional state, Mel Gibson is drunker and drunker and drunker. Right? it's a really nice cameo. All right. So anyway, turns out D has taken or has hired a boat captain to take him to the island where his brother died and where his brother's funeral is to see what's going on, to what happened. Right? I mean, he's even got postcards telling him how to be normal, like. First off, say I'm sorry for your loss, pat on the shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's truly trying to change the person he was and not be a sociopathic killer and to understand how human beings interact normally, right? So, as this progresses, the FBI puts a warrant out for him saying he's an escaped murderer, and now he's wanted for more, maybe murderer, from the coma guy that was in his apartment. It's so stupid. But anyway, so the sheriff from this area, played by Tyrese Gibson, is there at the funeral because he was friends with his brother. And so he arrests him. This is after there's this whole big mess with his mom at where the body is for viewing. And she's like, you're a piece of crap. He's like, I don't think I am. Well, you're not welcome here. But the note said for family, and I think I'm in that category. Right? Deadpanned and played great by Scott Eastwood as someone who doesn't understand emotions. Like he's just trying to get by and be as normal as possible. Fantastic. Like that's the stellar performance in this movie. It's just this movie is not like a blockbuster hit, but it's definitely entertaining, right? End result, sheriff calls the FBI, they're on their way, and shortly thereafter, a group of guys with weapons show up. And sheriff mistakenly is like, y'all got here quick. What field office are y'all from? Thinking they're FBI. The main baddie looks like a really mean Elon Musk, right? Kevin Durant. You just have to see it. And the rest of them look like a group of hillbillies with rifles, right? And they're here, supposedly, everybody assumes at this point that they're looking for D. So the sheriff gets into a shootout, and unfortunately, Tyrese loses his life because these guys have bigger guns. But anyway, end result, they're not there for D. They're there for his brother, the good one, the one that has so much going for him. Turns out he got into bed with some bad people, and now they want their part. So this ends up being one guy trying to save his family because he's pretty certain that's the way you're supposed to do things if you're emotionally cognizant. But he's not sure, so he's just trying to do the right thing and protect his family, who keeps telling him, just leave. We don't want you here. So it's him against a group of henchmen and one big bad. In the end, you find out what's really going on. And at one point, like this whole movie, he's going through, and when he hurts somebody or they attack him and he rebuffs them, he beats them up and ties them up, knocking them unconscious or whatnot. He does not kill them because he's been told that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Normal people don't kill other people. So he's trying to be normal when he's brilliant, like John Wick brilliant, at killing people. It just happens to be what he's good at. So he calls in the middle of a gun battle. He calls Mel Gibson, who's way plastered at this point, and he's like, hey, so I had a question. And Mel Gibson's like, what's all that noise? Oh, and he names the rounds being fired because he can tell just by hearing them. And he's like, I'm just being shot at. It's no big deal. He goes, wait, you're being shot at? Well, then do whatever it takes to get out of this alive and to save your life. And at this point, D is like, oh, but I might have to kill people. I don't care. Do that. If they're trying to kill you, it's okay to kill them back. And, oh, well, okay, I'll do that then. I'm telling you, it is brilliantly played by Scott Eastwood in this situation. The world they've created, the box they've put him in, he's fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm not going to spoil the end and what happens, but this movie is just a solid movie. Now, that's the pros. The con would be that it drags in certain spots, and I was struggling to stay awake. Now, the action parts were fine. They were great. But some of the dialogue with some of the other characters and the stuff going on, it's just kind of like, and it just drug on. I mean, an hour and 40 minutes. You could have trimmed 10 minutes off this, made this a straight an hour and a half, and you probably would have had a better product. And looking at the director, no offense to him, it doesn't look like he has a whole lot of experience in a full-length movie. He's done a lot of shows on TV. But that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this, with the exception of some of the boring bits. All the parts with D and his family and Mel Gibson and D and their interactions, it was solid. And you could see a well-written storyline that was the baseline for this. And if anything, some of the editing kind of messed that up and caused some issues. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. I'd watch it again. I probably wouldn't watch it a third time. So rewatchability, 50-50. Have you seen this? Tell me in the comments down below. Are you going to watch this? Tell me in the comments down below. And if you do watch it, tell me what you thought. All right, we're going to go, and we'll be back on Friday to talk about something awesome. Hopefully. From Michael, the microphone, Bob, squeaky chair in the back, and this big fat nerd. We'll see you then.